Welcome to I'll Be the Judge,
where opinions are bold, the vendor tea is hot, and the bridesmaids' dresses are questionable.
I'm Chelsey.
And I'm Cacie.
We are both wedding photographers who have seen it all.
From first looks to last call meltdowns,
each week we're pulling back the veil
and calling out the trends, traditions, and totally chaotic moments in the wedding world.
Nothing's off limits. If it happens between yes and I do, we are judging it.
So grab a bevy,
fluff your train, and let's get into it. I just want to take this moment and talk to my teachers growing up that always wrote Chatty Cathy on my report card because I am becoming a professional yapper.
Oh my gosh, was it on a lot of your report cards?
Everyone. Every quarter from the age of 5 to 17 when I graduated, I got chatty.
I look shocked, but I'm not shocked. This doesn't surprise me at all. I was a goody two-shoes through and through. I still feel like I'm a goody two-shoes. I'm a rule follower. Like I might have had a couple comments here and there, but they would just move me and then I'd be like, that's not fair. And then I would just sulk and move on with my life.
They would move me and I would make new friends.
No, that also does not surprise me. Can talk to a wall.
I said I was starting a podcast and I had a minimum of 4 people say, oh, about time. Not because they're excited to listen to me, but just because they're shocked I haven't put myself on air before.
Already done it. No, I've had a couple people as well. Everyone that's, seen sort of like the teaser that we put out, which I just need to apologize in advance for anybody that had to see that. That was, the world was going to have to see me at my lowest. If you can't handle me at my lowest, you do not deserve me at my best. And this is now my best. So you're welcome for putting on a face and getting full glam. Some days it just doesn't work out like that. You know what I mean? But
Cacie, you could roll out in a garbage bag and you'd be the hottest girl in the room. I swear to you. I will die on that hill.
I love you so much. But I completely disagree. I will show you what I look like in a trash bag.
Oh my God.
You're the same way though.
Okay. No, I'm not. But do you remember back in college days, the anything but clothes party? Did you have those? An ABC party?
I fear we had 2 different college experiences.
You didn't have an ABC party?
So I've heard of them. I just didn't attend those parties. I'll share what parties I attended first, but I want to hear about yours. Please do share.
Oh gosh, this could be a whole podcast episode on its own about the parties I went to in college. My favorite was perhaps spring of 2010, the Jersey Shore themed party in obviously a frat house basement with Jello shots and Natty Light. But I obviously dressed up as Snooki because the poof was poofing and the tan was tanning and the clothes were barely existent back in 2010. Honestly, that was peak. Like this clean girl aesthetic that's in right now. Can we bring back early 2000s trashy? That's kind of what I want in my life.
Wait, I want to talk about the parties that I attended. I want to talk about the parties that I attended. So I was in a sorority in college. And honestly, hands down, my college experience was the best 4 years of my life. I loved the people I met. I loved my experience. Joining a sorority was not the peak of my life, but it was, the girls that I found in my sorority, the first 2 years, probably even the first 6 months are my best friends to this day, which is amazing.
Okay, listen, I was something called a GDI. I'm assuming you know what I was a goddamn independent. So I got to flit from party to party and just live my absolute best life, including but not limited to an anything but clothes party. I'm trying to think of what other themes we had.
That's honestly the best way to go about the college experience, though, is being a GDI, because you weren't paying for the fees. We were all paying for the fees to go. You know what? I was never, I'm a goody two-shoes. I follow the rules. Okay. I was never a girl who was running around naked. I was clothed.
Are you referring to my ABC party?
No, because I know that. Wait, did you mention what an ABC party is? Why don't you describe what that is to people who don't know?
You're so right. It's called an anything but clothes party. So the goal is to basically dress as raunchy as possible with like some girls did like garbage bags to be funny. I think I did a garbage bag one year because I was like over it. And then another girl did like caution tape just across her bosom.
The
Caution tape was
caution
a big
tape. I
one.
feel like that's always somebody's go-to is the
I
caution tape
know.
dress.
I know. And honestly, it slayed back then. And back in the early mid 2000s, we used to wear the heels with like the platform and 8 inches of snow. And we would truck our little selves down to the bars. And honestly, I kind of miss that life a little bit. I mean, this is glamorous and we go to industry events and we get to dress nice and look pretty and converse amongst each other, but I kind of just want to throw down. Can someone host like
The
a
parties
throwdown
have
party?
elevated. Listen, the frat parties and sorority parties that I went to definitely prepped me. The universe was like, give her this so that when it comes time to go to all of these professional career events, life-changing events with very important people, she can be a normal human being. And I'm so grateful for that because now I'm like, oh, okay, we don't all just sling back shots. That's like at the end of the night kind of thing.
No, I was gonna say a whip a gala. We won't talk about it. We won't talk about it. I feel like we need to, because this is what Cacie and I do. We derail, and it's fine, and you're along for the ride. But I do feel like we need to kind of introduce why we're here and what we're talking about. So I have always wanted to have a podcast, and Cacie has as well. And we got plopped into each other's lives like 8 months ago, and we have been inseparable ever since. And I love her dearly. But we feel like, I mean, I see at least once a week on Instagram someone post, give me your wedding hot takes. And there's other Instagram accounts dedicated completely to giving hot takes. So people drop these hot takes and people have a ton of feelings about things in the industry, but there's really not a place to actually dissect those hot takes and make them something even better or positive spin on them, because I feel like in our industry, there are a lot of things that need to be discussed, but there's not really a great platform to do that. So, our goal is not to be controversial for the sake of controversy or for clickbait or for whatever, people talk about hot takes. The goal is to actually do something positive with those hot takes and educate not only the industry, but couples as well.
Yeah. I'm really excited that we finally have gotten this done. And I think you specifically are such a person who speaks so eloquently and you're really good at, because I mean, we've had plenty of off camera conversations about where I'm having a meltdown about something and, or vice versa. And it really does take having to take everything in here and say it out loud just to have it all on the table and then dissect it that way. And I've learned through like you said, the past, what's felt like forever, but 8 months is a very short period of time.
Yeah.
That,
we move fast.
Yeah, we do. And that doesn't happen a lot. So it's an interesting relationship that we've built, but we have, I've learned that saying it out loud and having somebody that you trust very much so to walk you through those bits and pieces, again, going back to community and building something together and hearing different perspectives. So many times, 9 times out of 10, I'm like, you know what? You're so right. I'll be like, heads on fire, steam coming out of the ears, and you'll say a couple things. And I'll be like, oh gosh, you know what? You're so right. And it's so interesting. And I feel like it's such a positive way to move forward with life lessons.
I hate rules and also life lessons. So Cacie also grounds me. So I feel like, in general in this industry, well, I feel like it can be lonely. It can be lonely. I mean, we're sitting in our offices by ourselves. And yeah, on wedding days, we are with people and couples and amazing creative teams. That's what I love about weddings. But it's the days where the grind is grinding and the season is seasoning and you feel alone. And I feel like having a place to talk about these things is so crucial. Also, we are not curing cancer. And I think that so many people, myself included, I can get caught in this headspace of our industry being very important and self-importance because we do pour everything. We pour our whole being into this industry. If you're
Absolutely.
at where we're at. And it's fun to pull back the veil and just add some humor to it because life's too short. Let's have some fun. Throw back this
Life
tequila
is so
shot
short.
at the Jersey Shore
Throw
party.
back your take your tequila shot, grab your trash bag, throw it on, a little bit of duct tape, whatever you feel. Bring your shot of choice, come sit down, and let's have an open conversation. And later on, I also want to make sure that whoever's listening to this also is aware that we want your feedback as well. If you have a hot take or if you have something that you just want discussed, in our humble opinions, again, not curing
We are
cancer here.
so humble.
Just offering a bit of perspective. And I think that's so important. So later on down the line, I think it's really important that everybody's voice is heard, for the most part, and we can provide your space to dissect everything.
Yeah, I want your hot takes because honestly, I have my hot takes. Cacie has her hot takes, but we want to hear from you guys. So, and we are going to be bringing on speakers, but you know, Cacie and I are professional yappers, so we have to give ourselves time to yap before we bring in the really important people. So, Cacie and I have a dear friend coming on the podcast today. She's our very first guest, the lovely Lauren Zigman Eastman. She is owner of LZ Event Co. out of St. Louis, Missouri, but she also serves Destination. She creates deeply personal, effortlessly chic weddings that blend intimacy with unforgettable style. And if that does not describe our girl, Lauren, I don't know what the heck does. So, we love her. I hope she's wearing, we should tell everybody. So Lauren has an LZ green color. That's a part of her brand, but I feel like it's a part of her life. And if she shows up in LZ green, I will just die. I will be so happy.
I hope so, because this green is the most iconic green. It's almost, dare I say, kind of like the Gucci green, which I adore. But it is anytime that we're talking, like there have been times now that I know Lauren, there have been times where I'll see this green color and I'll send a picture to her and be like, oh my God, LZ green, look at this. This is amazing. You need to buy this. You need this. Like, this is so cool. It reminds me of you. It's like little pieces of Lauren, like throughout my life.
Also, the $4,000 Gucci bag, we very much tried to convince her to buy. She did not. Her husband said no.
Still in the works. We need everyone's help. Everyone needs to comment somewhere that she needs to go back and get this LZ green Gucci purse, because who doesn't need their own branding color in a Gucci bag in their life? I mean,
period.
Yeah, enough said, right?
Enough said. Okay, here she is.
She's in LZ green.
She's in LZ green.
Did I pop in right at the right time?
Yeah.
No, literally right on time. That was actually insane. I don't know that I was prepared for that to be exactly on time.
I don't even have to edit anything because that was so perfect.
You're welcome.
So thank you. Thank you for that. We were talking about, so we gave you an intro, and then we also were talking about how we hoped you would show up in LZ green. And then we kind of derailed to talk about the Gucci bag we want you to buy.
Oh my God. Thank you for supporting the Gucci bag even more. We got to get the husband on board, but
yes, we are working on it. So don't you worry.
Manifesting this bag.
Manifest. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for coming on with Cacie and I today. We are so stoked that you are our first guest. We love you both. We both love you so much, and we're so thankful for not only your friendship but your insight and expertise into our industry. So thank you.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited for the two of you to have this podcast, and it's gonna be so fun. Can't wait. Can't wait to dive in.
Yay, let's do it. Okay.
Lauren, today's hot take is going to be focused around the word luxury. Everyone sort of claims to be a luxury service, but not many people understand exactly what true luxury means in terms of the wedding industry. Even though, serving the top 10% of earners is technically what luxury sort of represents. I want to ask you a couple things about your hot takes as far as how far this word goes in your opinion.
Okay, so my gosh, hot takes on the word luxury. I feel like there's a million routes that we can go with this, because I feel like, and I'll be the first to say, I've fallen victim to using that word. I use that word a bit in my branding. I think a lot of us do. But for me at least, and this is my hot take, is that you don't get to use that word until you have worked hard enough and deserved it. Like you have to work to use that word, meaning you can't just walk into this industry, no matter how talented you may be, and just say, I'm a luxury wedding, blah, 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 blah. You have to understand the business and the connections and the people and have a few years under your belt before you can really feel like you can use that word. And maybe that's my hot take, but
no, I completely agree with you, Lauren, because I think
Me
that
too.
well, that's why it's a hot take, which I love. But I feel like the word luxury, when it's overused, which it has been, it loses its meaning. And then it's like the mainstream media, the mainstream people on Pinterest, they see something. And when everyone describes it as luxury, they in their head are thinking, oh, I'm having a luxury wedding. And I feel like we really need to kind of pull back the veil on that. And that's why we have you here today, is because you're a planner. You get to see the scope of people's budgets. And I'm so curious, like how many brides come to you or grooms come to you and they're like, I want to have a luxury wedding, but they don't exactly know what that means. I think that's what I'm most excited to hear from you.
I feel like it's almost everyone because, everyone wants that wedding. They want the Pinterest wedding, the social media wedding, and that's okay. And that's amazing. But what people don't realize is the pricing gap and there's not a lot of pricing transparency. So they don't understand that those weddings that really are true by definition, luxury weddings of, multi hundred thousands of dollars, if not even into the millions, because we do see those, cost that much. I get a lot of clients are like, yeah, we just want something timeless, luxury. Budget is, 40,000. And while yes, that is a great budget, that's a lot of money. And we have to respect that that's a lot of money.
Yes. And I think that we all need to just go ahead and say right now, we are not judging anybody's budget. I think that that's really crucial to say here.
Correct.
I got, I couldn't spend what I would love to spend for a luxury wedding for myself.
We can't spend on what our clients spend with us.
No, I couldn't afford
what
myself.
My clients spend. And that's okay, because I understand and I feel that when they come to me and I'm like, you absolutely can have a beautiful wedding for the budget you want to spend, but your expectations absolutely need to be altered or changed when it comes to it and who you can work with, what you want to do, and so on. So I think, when it comes to that word luxury, it's also just the easiest word people gravitate towards because it's the one they see the most. There's so many other words that we can use to describe a high-end wedding, like a sophisticated wedding, giving lots of hospitality and experience. These are some words that I like to look for that my clients say that let me cue in to say, okay, they're looking for this more kind of luxury, higher end experience when they kind of bring up things that they're looking for to show their guests or have, instead of just saying, we want a luxury wedding. Well, that word means something different to every single person.
And I think that's crucial. Like the word luxury is not blanket statement. I mean, what's luxury with Cacie in Arizona with certain brides and venues out where she's at is going to be completely different than a Midwest luxury like Lauren and I. Or let me rephrase, the expectations of the word luxury are completely different. And I think that there needs to be so much more transparency surrounding budgets and what this actually means.
Yes. And I think too, it's such a great point when you say that, because when you're in your different markets, your different area, somewhere in a big city like New York, Chicago, we see luxury in a more glam aspect. It looks a lot more glam. Whereas maybe a Midwest luxury might be like the country club or the beautiful layers of a tent in that aspect. Whereas Arizona is this cool outside, chic, higher end vibe you see.
I was just about to say that it's so interesting because for anybody who doesn't know me specifically, not to make this about me, but just to give an aspect as far as geographical.
It can be all about you.
Take it off me, please, Case.
Just to take this, speaking in a geographical location form, if you don't know, I lived in Canada for the last Toronto side for the last 7 years. And I just recently moved back to Arizona, went to school here. So I moved back. My family's here, but it's crazy to see the difference in what true luxury is, because you find people with the same sort of budget, but speaking as far as like what they're used to up there, you know, obviously in Toronto, it gets really, really cold. So not a single person is going to be getting married outside unless you're a little bit kooky, which is so cool. But you definitely need different forms, different aspects, different elements to your day to make it realistic if you are doing something like that. Where here in Arizona, it's the complete opposite. So like their on season is completely different than our on season here. And come summertime, not a single person is getting married outside. Just for the sake of the weather. But it's interesting because there's a lot of ballroom work up in Toronto. And that's still classified as luxury. You know what I mean? It just is a matter of florals and your team and sort of what you want to be put into it. Whereas here, everything is outdoors, not, you know, you're not to say that if you have something ballroom here, it's considered less luxurious, but it's just an aspect of when you look at it aesthetically, there is a difference there, which I thought was so interesting moving back. Same for if you look at East Coast versus West Coast weddings.
They're so
I know that
different.
The two of you are, and I mean, the two of you are
so different.
Well, Midwest-ish, right? Midwest. I consider Minnesota Midwest.
I got in an argument with someone about what Midwest is the other day.
Ohio,
so don't ask
not
me.
even in Minnesota.
Ohio is the fucking Midwest. I will fight anyone that tells me that Ohio is not the Midwest.
I agree that Ohio's the Midwest, but Cacie said you're in Minnesota. I'm like, I don't think she's there.
Minnesota. I grew up in Minnesota, although I don't tell anybody that. I know Minnesota to be the Midwest. Anything else, I'm like, I feel like Wisconsin, Minnesota, and the Dakotas are the Midwest, but the Midwest is so much bigger than that.
So much bigger. Again, like you said, there's also just different elements within the Midwest itself. So again, it really depends on your geographical location. It depends on, you know, where you live, where you grew up, all those elements. There's so many factors that dictate whether a wedding is luxury, just based off perception to the client, I should say.
Okay. So I'm curious from your perspective, if there is a dollar amount spent per guest that you deem that pushes you into the, I would say, national scale of what luxury is, because again, we talked about Midwest luxury can be different than national luxury. But is there a dollar number that you feel like, because I think clients think, oh, I have $100,000 for a wedding, I am going to be on the cover of Vogue. Well, that's amazing. And your wedding is going to be beautiful. It all completely comes down to guest count.
Yes. I would say it's so true. It's how many guests you have is going to determine how you can spend your budget, because obviously $100,000, 100 guests versus 200 guests is going to be a very different outcome. For me, for my business, I like to determine it as a spend of about $1,000 a guest. I think that is where we really start to lean more into this luxury threshold. And that is because, again, like you said, guest count. I've had clients with budgets of all ranges and different wedding sizes, but it depends on how much they're willing to spend on that per guest count. Sometimes clients don't look at that when they go into it. It's really the calculations we'll do in the back end to see like, okay, this is kind of what we're looking at when it comes to amount per guest. So that is really where I would say, for me at least, it's about $1,000, because again, 100 people, $1,000 a guest, $100,000 budget, that's a lot of money, and that's a lot of things that you can do, but that's about my average threshold, I should say.
Yeah, and I think that that's important for people planning weddings to know and understand when they're making their guest list, and they're like, well, I want to invite all these people that impacted my life in some way or that my parents are friends with, but it's like, for me, and it all depends on your values. Mm-hmm. For me, my personal values lay in other places.
Right. And then again, I always like to ask my clients, it's like, what's most important to you? It's always different for every client. Sometimes it's the flowers. It could be the music. Food and beverage for some of my clients has been the highest priority. And some of them are like, we really don't care. But again, it depends also on where you're signing your venue. Is it an in-house caterer? Do you have a choice of caterers? What are their packages? There's so many factors that go into it that can really affect how you spend on that wedding day.
Lauren, you kind of just touched briefly on, I say briefly, it might sound like a lot to somebody new or like in the brand new stages of wedding planning, but we obviously are all used to this information. So to me, it feels like brief. But with that information, you sort of described luxury feeling, luxury looking. I want you to tell us what for you specifically is the difference between luxury feeling, and tell us a little bit about luxury operating, what that looks like on the client side versus what that looks like on the planner side. And then obviously Chelsey and I can potentially add what that looks like on the photography side as well. I'm just so curious to hear your take on this, because I feel like where the client has this vision, this idea where like, this is going to be on the cover of Vogue, I have $100K to spend, when they don't necessarily know or aren't quite educated on where all that money is being allocated based off of their priorities, how that's going to feel when you're hiring your vendor teams and so forth and so forth and so such.
That is such a good question. That's a great question.
And for me, again, I don't know if this will be a hot take or not, but the biggest hidden cost and the one that I feel like is going to impact your wedding the most and really dictate if it's going to be a luxury wedding, if we're going to use that word, service, labor. You need to spend your money and actually hire the labor. Don't say, I have a brother or a cousin who's not doing anything, so we can ask them to do these things. No, stop asking your family members and friends to do things on your wedding day to cut corners. Your best outcome you're going to get is on the labor from the professional teams that are involved on your wedding day, because at the end of the day, your day is not going to happen if it's not for the people operating your event. We're only as good as the people operating it. So you need to have your experts involved. If that means you need more service staff, more bartenders, if that means, you want more photography or videography to be able to make sure that they can be in multiple places at once.
Actually, can I love this. I want you to keep rolling. I just want to quickly keep it going. Hot take. I recently just went to a couple of mine I have coming up, and I was like, hey, timeline is really tight. I really think we need to add a third shooter here. And they agreed and they valued that experience and the labor that comes into that. And they were able to invest in that and willing to invest in that. But like you said, there's some people who don't value that extra body, that extra set of hands, the experienced extra set of hands that could take your day from great to luxury. But keep going. I love this. I just wanted to throw that in there, that having those clients that understand that changes everything.
It does. And again, it's just having that staff there. You need this team to be able to execute. Like my biggest wedding of the year last year, I had to have a team just on the planner side alone of 15 people. And I would not have been able to have that day be executed, done correctly, done as well as it was if I did not have that entire team. And that doesn't include literally any other vendor involved. And there was like 40 plus vendors involved in this day. So for me, it's all about having the proper team to make sure every single little thing that you spent a year, maybe over a year, 2 years planning for goes well. I think a lot of people think that they can use labor as a ways to cut corners, and they just don't understand that there's a lot of things with timing restrictions. There's a lot, things take time and energy. Like we're bringing in heavy tables. We might be installing something. There's one
thing I want to interject really quick, because you're so right. And I think that a lot of this is just educating couples and others in this thing, because some people this is not honestly firsthand information to know. These are learned experiences. This is why attaching the word luxury to a newer photographer really discredits their work and actual luxury photographers or planners or industry members, because we have learned all of these things through years and years of experience, of trial and error, of knowing what makes a day flow properly. And I was going to just add, you having a 15-person team, which is insane. I love that for you. The day probably went so smoothly because your couple understood and valued having so many team members. Not one person probably had to step outside of their own role as photographer, as planner, as caterer to pick up somebody else's slack, which has happened so many times in the past for me, in the earlier stages of my career. And that's when I learned, and it does just take a little bit of explaining, because Chelsey, you had mentioned that for your couple coming up, you were like, hey, I think that it's of value, it should be a priority to you to add one more. But you didn't just say that, right? You gave them lists, you gave them reasoning. You said, this is how we are going to go from, I don't want to say basic, but how we go from best to better. or better to best. Yeah. And I just think that that's so important to say as far as client experiences go. When you are booking your vendors, just trust and make sure you're building trust is number one, super, super important, but make sure that all that trust, we're not just trying to get every inch and penny out of you for the sake of making more money. It is truly, when you find the right vendors, it is truly to make sure that your experience is the best, most seamless experience. And that is by not making your, specific vendor step outside, not making your photographer take on the role of a coordinator, not making your planner take on the role of a caterer. Like nobody should be flipping patties in the back while, somebody's trying to organize family photos sort of thing, or keeping people on time.
Which, let me say, we all three would do those things. Like if someone needed me to flip a burger in the back, I would.
Worst case scenario,
Again, I had a wedding 2 years ago where I was in the basement with this one caterer person and we were scraping food off the rented plates. And I, as a planner, was doing that and not running it upstairs because I was helping them. We will do what it takes to get it done. But again, if they had the right catering staff and they had the rental people come and actually do it, I wouldn't have to do that. I would be able to actually focus on my job and not be literally elbows deep in food.
Love to see you scraping food in the back because you're always so beautiful and like she's a boss bitch.
Restaurant and hotel banquet team experience thankfully that did not faze me. Like if I didn't work in banquets beforehand, like that.
I'm going to be honest, food grosses me out. I have swept the entire floor of a venue before, but I'm going to be honest, I don't know that I would be scraping the food. I'd be gagging.
The stories we could probably tell about how many different roles we played in a day.
That's a whole episode itself. Truly something that you said, Cacie, it's like people, you kind of think that we tack on more money, and it's called the wedding tax. And I've heard this talked about a lot recently. It's been a very hot topic, especially amongst the, I hate to say the word, luxury higher end vendors that we see here across like America. But the wedding tax, there's a huge discourse and discussion I feel like I see on TikTok, on Reddit, where everyone's like, why are they charging so much because it's a wedding day? You should lie and say that it's this event, which is...
It wouldn't matter.
First of all, it wouldn't matter, but
it wouldn't matter.
But it really hurts, I think, if you're listening to this and you think that, you want to try to go that route, you're really hurting yourself in the end because you're not giving all your information to your vendors you are hiring to ensure things are going to be properly done. Because when it comes to weddings, it's like there's a reason it's more money because there's more labor involved. There's more things happening. Like a normal event doesn't have a photo timeline and then ceremony and cocktail hour and reception and after party. So there's more labor, there's more emotion involved, more expectations, more necessities. It's just, there's so many layers to it.
You also can't redo a motherfucking wedding day. You can't redo it.
And
you get one chance.
I had a bride who had the photographer come out to the hotel and reshoot the first look with her mom. They completely restaged it.
There's nothing wrong with that per se. However,
it's not authentic.
It's not recommended. It's not recommended to have to do that. The whole point of a wedding day, I think the three of us could probably agree, is you want it to feel, there is so many moving parts to a wedding, to a production, to an event, all these things. We want to do our best to make sure that it feels the most natural to you guys as couples, as, hostesses of the evening, things like that, so that you can just be so present and it doesn't feel like, and cut. Okay, we're going to move mom now to the backside of the venue. Can we clear out, it shouldn't feel like that. And if your event does feel like that, I'm sorry. To me, it shouldn't feel like that. It should feel semi-seamless. There will be so many moments in the day where it may feel like a little bit of a production. However, I feel like when you get more luxury, the team is going to do their best to make it feel seamless so that, you're just so present and in the moment, and it doesn't feel super out of place for you, because that's where, that will show in photos and people can pick up on that. I feel like wedding industry members are natural born empaths. What you feel, we feel. We are trained to see that. We are trained to read a room, understand how you're feeling, and make our moves to make sure you get out of that uncomfortable position and move forward with the rest of the day.
Do you know how many times I've sacrificed myself to be the bad guy when it comes to a guest talking to a couple that they do not want to be talking to? And I get to be like, and this way. And I think that when you have people that are truly luxury, when it comes to the experience, they're able to read that room and understand those dynamics and help you navigate them effortlessly. And even beyond that, when you have a true luxury vendor, they're not volume based. They are quality based. So the fact that they're
Quality
able
over
to
quantity.
essentially quality over quantity, they're not churning and burning you. They know it doesn't matter if it's your photographer, your videographer. Let's say you hire a luxury photographer, but you cut corners on a videographer. They are not going to bring the same experience and feeling to your wedding day. And even if their website says luxury wedding videographer, if their price point isn't aligning with the other price points that you're hiring, that is a red flag.
Yeah.
Sorry,
100%. No,
Wait.
there is a company, I'm not going to share too much because I know that it's their livelihood and it's a family-owned business. However, there is one company.
Hold on, are we about to drop some tea?
I'm going to share an experience.
Okay.
Speaking of videographers, I'll give you that much information. And the owner's very, very sweet. However, I don't know how they're running I do know how they're running their business. The way that they're marketing themselves is they are claiming that they're luxury. Okay, cool. I've seen some of their work. Looks good. However, what you see post-production is not always what happens on the wedding day. And I refuse to work with this company anymore because, and this wasn't just based off of one experience. Ironically, I was working with them one weekend, the next weekend, same company shows up, and I remember shooting details, and all of a sudden I heard the person say, "Oh, Cacie, hey," and I was like, it was slow-mo. I was like, oh my God, not again. You're joking me. It was so bad. And they not only made my couples, plural, two separate people who had no idea of each other, feel so uncomfortable. Both reactions from both couples. The second time around, I was like, this is not happening again. They were giving me eyes like girls do at a club when that one guy just won't leave them alone. They were giving me eyes like that. And thank God I've had that club experience because I was like, I got you. I was like, we got to move on. Like, you've got enough stuff here. They're clearly uncomfortable, and it kills me because that to me is not a luxury experience. You need to read a room. And it's funny because I had a bride coming up this summer. She reached out. She's like, hey, we're thinking of using so-and-so, because they do this thing where they list a price and then they're like, but we're going to give you 50% off. You're not giving them 50% off. You charge $5,000 for a reason, but you're saying you start at 10 and then offering people 50% off. I don't know what their pricing is, but that's what they're doing. They're saying that they start here, but we love you so much. We're going to give you 50% off. That's crazy. If you are getting that big of a discount through a luxury branded company, I would definitely, a red flag would be raised and I would be asking a few more questions. That's all I want to say.
You can have incredible marketing and pay for great marketing. That does not mean you're going to get the same experience on the back end like these other couples. And it's what's hard is that, you hear these stories all the time. Everyone has these different vendors in their own market. So like we can all probably name at least 5 people and that we know of that's like that. And it's where you just hear these stories from clients or other vendors maybe after the fact. But if you are a client wanting to potentially hire a certain person and you might be hearing things yes or no, reach out to the past couples, find their Instagram, DM them, ask them if they really want, what was your experience as a client?
So let's say they have 5 videographers' websites pulled up in different tabs. Let's say they all 5 have the word luxury on them. All 5 have decent work. What are some red flags that couples can look out for that maybe don't have an exceptional planner by their side to help them?
Oh gosh. This one's going to sound crazy, but on their website, make sure things are spelled correctly.
I didn't even think about that.
Grammar and spelling's good. I don't know. That's a good one. But you'd be surprised how many spelling errors people have on their website, or even just like weird grammatical things. That's a small thing. That doesn't mean that could just always be an oversight. Take that one with a grain of salt. But it's how kind they are to you, your personalities. Do you guys mesh well? How kind is this person? Are they good in response time? Do they actually have really good reviews like on like website or Google or other things? Can you find an accurate review, not just like a sentence, maybe like an actual review? Do your other vendors that you have hired have good things to say about this person? Do they enjoy working with them? Do they like them, their personality? I think that's also something just to keep in mind in general is like coming from a planner side, not only do we want to make sure, like for me, I want to make sure my client has the right vendors that fit like their budget, their style, their aesthetics, like their personality. But you also have to fit the vendor personality because it goes all the way back to that staffing conversation in the sense that your wedding's not going to be successful if not only do you have the right number of staff, but they also have to get along and they have to respect each other. So, it's making sure that you're finding vendors that showcase that respect, who can get along with others. And that's hard to tell.
Their attire on the wedding day, what they look like, how they present themselves.
That's a hot take. That's a very good one and very true.
That's a hot take.
I just think finding the true luxury vendors are the ones that go the extra mile. They're not the ones that just show up and do their job and leave. They're the ones that prep beforehand. They care about their outfits and seamlessly fitting in with the guests. I think that's, especially from photo perspective, it's actually easier for me to get great reactions when guests forget I'm a photographer, when they forget they're being photographed. I'm just speaking from photo because that's what I do. But I think that goes for everyone from entertainment. And a true luxury band or entertainment company cares about what they're wearing. I could talk about this all day long. And then at the end of the day, their photos are 10 times better because the band looks fucking good.
Yeah, vendor fashion is real. And it's, again, like from the planner side, like, and yes, unless it's like an all black event, like I've tried to steer away from doing black pants and a blazer because then I just look like the catering staff or the catering manager or like the venue manager. And I'm like, no, I don't work here. Like I'm the planner. So I try to do like a nicer dress or maybe a jumpsuit, something that looks a little bit more chic, a little more fashionable. So people can see like, yes, that's the girl with like the iPad or the clipboard or the bind, whatever it is, like running around, getting things done. But you can tell that I'm the planner just based on the outfit alone. And like you said, like when the bands care, makes my day. My day.
It makes our day because our photos look 10 times better. And instead of getting a photo back where you got, I'm not trying to call these bands out, but like
you guys,
the guy with the sunglasses on his head and his like black band tee. I'm like, baby boy.
The event I was at last night, the service stat had metallic red gloves that they were when they served everything, like that they wore the whole time. Instead of just like the white glove service, it was metallic red glove service. The whole thing, it's like those details. Yes, they were in all black with the little pop of red on their gloves when they handed you the food, like chef's kiss. And it's like
it made your guest experience that much better, that much more elevated. And it's crazy because we're literally talking about a glove, a literal glove from like something so teeny tiny that people don't think about. But your guest experience, you were like, whoa. That's cool. You wanted to spend more time with a glove. That's crazy. But that's what gets me excited. That's what I love about this industry is little things like that. I'm like, whoa, metallic glove. Come back here. Let me take a picture of that. That's so cool. How can I make that look even cooler than it is? Because I've never seen that before. That's so forward thinking. That's so unique and special to either the couple or the event, which is just what makes for me a luxury event luxury is how customized it is to the couple, because it's not something that's just purchased off the shelf. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but just something unique and cool and fresh. I'm always excited by new ideas. So I just think that that's such a good example for something so small that most people maybe don't think about, but that is luxury. That is going the extra mile. How can we make the gloves a better experience for people to visually see and physically experience a metallic glove?
Yeah. I actually have a follow-up question anyways to that is for these couples that are maybe they have a good budget, they have a healthy budget, they're not going to be able to have an ultra luxury wedding by national standards. What are some things that they can do to add? I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but what are some things that they can do to add luxury experience for their guests to elevate their event without maybe a $5,000 per guest price tag?
Ooh, great question. I think elevating the guest experience is so common now. It's what you hear, what I hear a lot as a planner is everyone's like, we want the guests to have a great experience. And I think it comes back to like the core root of hospitality, where event planning comes from. And hospitality is like my personal background. So, it's how can we give this really nice service, like a hospitality service. You hear all the time, like, do you want to do like a Ritz-Carlton service, or is it like a courtyard service? You have to think of your differences. So a few things I feel like in the world of influencer culture now, gifting is huge. Like gifting.
Oh, okay.
And I think
that's not my love language. So I'm so curious about that.
It's not really, it's so funny because it's not my love language either, but you see that more and more. Like we had a live watercolor artist and she took a picture of the guests and then she painted live watercolor for the guests to all be able to take home. And it's a sentimental gift. It's not like a photo booth in a sense where you're just taking a picture. It's like an actual piece of art. It's something beyond just like, oh, this is a branded koozie from our wedding. Like something that's like experiential. Right. I will say what we're seeing a lot now and I'm loving are matchbooks. Like
customized matchbooks.
I'm obsessed with those. I'm starting any single time my weddings have one, I'm collecting them because my goal is to make my own little shadow box in my office. Like, like those cute restaurant shadow boxes of matchbooks. I want one, but for all my weddings that have them. Like, how cute. So I think, and that one's small. People collect those. It's a little bit, easier to take home. And again, that's not really as much an experience, but it just kind of gives you that like elevated restaurant feel. Like when you go to a really fancy restaurant, they have those, you take them at the end. So it's kind of like that feel. So it's something like experiential for the guests. And I'm not talking about like, again, like a performance or something crazy, like something that they can take that's not like that's not cheesy, it's not a favor. It's like something, it's like a gifting experience, truly. You see this in the welcome bags. I feel like we also are seeing so much more multi-level events now, like multi-day events, as I mean, for a weekend, because people want to extend it throughout the weekend. So when they're doing all these multi-day events, like each event is a different theme and each event might have a giveaway or something that like they get to take home as part of it. That's like unique and nice. That's not just like this crazy branded, like with everyone's logo on it everywhere. Something that like is actually useful. So I don't know. I feel like gifting is becoming a huge thing. A lot of people love the idea of like a bud vase with flowers in it. And it's great, but it's the amount of times those are left. It's like, what do we do with that? So that's why it's something that like the watercolor artist or again, the event I went to last night, not only did they have that, but they had, and I've done a few events now where they've done this, where if it's going to be a bud vase, there's a live engraver on site. And maybe they're engraving. Last night we got sunglasses. I can't wait to wear this all the time. Maybe it's a candle. I've seen that. I've seen, glassware, like their cocktail glass that they have, it's engraved. Again, something that they get to take home from the event that just, it's different. It's something that you can reuse, something you can keep in your home that looks really nice. Again, that's not just like something with your random monogram on it. I think now it's a very like 10 thing, early 2000s thing, whereas now it's like, how can we have these really nice, like personalized branded gifts? And again, I think that all stems from Gen Z and the influencer culture of
PR boxes.
The PR boxes, but like the customized
trips to Tarte. Yes.
Trips to Tarte.
Look, I know I'm not a makeup influencer. However, I would give anything to go to a Tarte trip at some point in my life.
I was just thinking, hey, Tarte, if you're listening, Chelsey is happy to photograph it. I'm going to attend as a guest.
You need Tarte to be one of your sponsors.
Or I'll be her backup. If you need two photographers, you let me know. But like, I would give my left pinky toe to be on this trip.
Cacie and I, with 0 subscribers, first podcast ever, we're pitching Tarte. You know what? Dream
Manifest,
big, ladies.
Baby. Manifest, baby. You never know.
For you guys go on a Tarte trip. My dream brand trip would be the Dior Aspen Wellness trip for Dior Beauty.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that's mine.
You know what? Scratch that.
Scratch that. Sorry,
I'm happy with that, though, Lauren. Sort of segueing into our final question for you, I think that the last conversation we had was perfect for this. So just moving forward, I'd love to hear your thoughts about just where you'd like to see the industry going as far as luxury goes, trends, client experiences, anything that you've been dreaming of. What would be the direction in which you want to see the luxury industry move?
Oh gosh, I feel like I can answer this question in a million different ways because like there's so many things I would love to see and just so many things that I would love to do as my own business owner and as a planner. But I think just from seeing the industry in general, again, I think luxury, we're really moving back into focusing on the guest experience. And from like the second that guest arrives or like, lands at the airport, maybe the hotel welcome bag, how they get the check-in. Are they handed maybe a glass of champagne at check-in as well? Like there's just so many different things to elevate the guest experience. And I think that's where we are like the industry is moving towards because again, there's so many different things. We see a lot of incredible designers and planners who are doing these beautiful events that like, this is at least for me, if I'm going to say like my dream event, we're going to manifest it out there. I have so many visions for it, but like ones that are restaurant inspired. Lauren Patis did one that was the Good Tree, and it was like they created their own restaurant. It was the most beautiful design, and it didn't look like a normal wedding. It literally looked like they built a restaurant in the woods,
which is amazing. EKS Events just did a wedding that Corbin Gherkin shot, and they brought a fireplace indoors.
No, I was literally going to mention that one. That one was amazing.
Yeah.
Marcy Bloom showcased one at Engage that she did that like some photos, Easton Events, Calder Clark, they all have done these incredible weddings along with Shannon Leahy. Like I can go on. Like these are my idols. Like I'm like, I want to learn and do the types of events that they do. That's what I'm inspired by. But you're seeing that more and more. It's like creating this restaurant, creating like a space that's beyond just like a standard wedding venue when it comes to transfer, like the luxury market. We're transforming spaces. We're making it unique to that couple themselves. We're elevating the guest experience in that way. There's just so many things with that that's what I would like to see industry continue to move towards. That's the types of things that I would like to do. They almost call it like understated luxury, where it's like you can tell like, yes, a boatload of money was spent on this event. This is a stunning event, but it's not like in your face flashy. And I know Lynn uses that word a lot, understated luxury. And I really like that a lot too, just because again, it can be fun. You can still have like really fun things and elements and colors to it, but it's not something that is like insanely over the top.
Florals aren't throwing up everywhere. They're purposefully used instead of just hundreds of thousands of dollars of florals is luxury, but you're saying that it's way more involved with transformations, guest experience,
creating fireplace, creating an open concept, building a faux open concept kitchen in a tent, like doing all these things that like even just like a restroom tent connected to the tent that has like a beautiful walkway that doesn't feel like you're going into an actual restroom trailer. Like it's draped really well. They did that at Engage and I've seen other events do that. It's things like those where again, it's these little design elements that you're investing in. Like again, the restroom tent. You wouldn't think that if you're in a tent connecting the restrooms like that, creating a beautiful look for a restroom makes an impact for your guest. But I promise you it does. It does not feel like you're going into a trailer. It literally feels like you're using a normal restroom.
I love that example because I shot a wedding last August where I love that you mentioned that. The walkway to the bathroom was fully draped. It was also fully lined with plants. And then in between those plants were full size, those gold anthropology mirrors. It was lined with those so the guests could see their entire outfits.
Chelsey, where are these photos?
It was an NDA wedding.
Of course it was.
Yeah. The one thing nobody wants to hear.
I know.
Again, it's like when you find a really good fashion piece and you're like, oh my God, where'd you get it? And they're like, it was from 3 years ago. And you're like, gosh, dang it.
I know.
But that exact example, it's just that creating that, like you said, the full length mirrors, instead of making people feel like they have to walk outside just to go stand in line at a trailer, they're in a beautiful hallway that again is custom built for them. It's those types of things when you're focusing on the hospitality aspect is what I think creates a luxury event. So that's what I would like to see moving forward. What I think we will, of course, see more on just with the Gen Z culture is a lot of, more media kind of being involved. Content creation is blowing up. I think it's here to stay. I think we're going to see, like we talked about the gifting. I think we're going to see a ton of that in the next 2 years. So, but I would love to continue to see this like really hospitality hotel restaurant aspect being put onto the weddings.
You know what I want to see?
Ooh, tell.
I want to see a couple create a signature scent and pump that signature scent through their venue or their tent.
Love.
Gift their signature scent in vials to their guests. And then that is their signature scent, maybe for anniversaries or special date nights moving forward. I think that would be cool.
That's so cute. I love that.
It's like having like the Ritz-Carlton soap in your bathroom.
Right. Hire someone to do it
right.
right.
Like clean, like a clean scent. Yeah. Don't do like vanilla cupcake because I think your guests will be gagging. Just saying.
Yeah. No, it needs to be a bespoke scent. Should I create a new business? I don't know anything about scents, actually. I would love an investor.
Sharks. Putting it out there.
I'm just,
Shark
Tart Trips, an investor.
Millions of dollars.
Dior.
Yeah, truly. Yeah. Dior scent. That's my dream. There we go. But
I think that's the perfect place to end it, ladies. I feel like that was so lovely.
Too.
We appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for
Lauren, we love you so much. You're so talented. If you need a wedding planner, please go find Lauren, LZ Events on Instagram. I'm Cacie at Cacie Carroll Photography on Instagram. Chelsey, what's your handle? Plug yourself.
All right, I want to talk about this for a second. I don't know okay, listen. I don't know in what world I put my middle initial in my Instagram 10 years ago when I started this business. It has no place in my brand. It's not like ChelseyJBarhorst.com. But what's funny is that my Instagram, I know, which it's funny because I care so much about my brand being aligned, but it's Chelsey J Barhorst on Instagram. My website is just Chelsey Barhorst, but I have fallen into this thing where I talk about myself in third person. So I'll be like, especially when I'm complaining, I'll be like, DJ Barhorst really wants Chinese food tonight. She's like almost like an alter ego, and I pin a lot of things on her. So don't ask me why, but my middle initial is in my Instagram handle.
That's okay.
At least your alter ego is still your name. My alter ego is Tiffany. That's a story for another day.
Can that be next week on?
Sure.
I'll be the judge.
All right, Chelsey J Barhorst and Tiffany. It was great talking to you.
I hate it. She's not a Tiffany. I hate it. Make it go away.
Was it Tiffany? It was when I was blonde. It made sense for the time. I'm sticking with her. Tiff is my girl. She's my girl.
We're three brunettes. Ladies, we're three brunettes.
We sure are.
I love it.
I feel like that's rare in a world full of hot blonde bombshells.
You know what? I'll run with it. You know what? Hell yeah.
You know what?
Hell yeah.
Okay, ladies, I could yap forever, but let's sign off.
This was so much fun.